Happy New Year, and welcome to TV, Tennessee Valley Church. I'm Jamie Mackey, minister to students at First Baptist Huntsville, and it's my privilege to share some words with you today. We're at Huntsville's ice skating in the park. It's become a tradition for many to come here and attempt to ice skate. I say attempt because not many of us will compete in the Olympics, but still can have a lot of fun out here. Have you ever lost something? Maybe out here on the ice, you lost your balance? That's not really what I'm talking about. Have you ever lost something like your keys? Parents, have you ever lost your child? When I was talking to my wife, Hope, about where I was going with this sermon, she said, like the time I had the kids shopping at the clothing store when they were little, I looked up and they were gone. My heart panicked. And after a couple of moments that seemed like eternity, turns out they had crawled in the middle of one of those circular clothing racks, playing hide and seek. Those moments when we feel like we have lost the whereabouts of our children are terrifying. Maybe this is why the Find My iPhone is one of the most used apps by parents. And the app's use is not to find your own phone, but to actually find out where your child is. Maybe that's why the app's name was recently shortened from Find My iPhone to Find My. I need to find my son, or find my daughter, or often in Hope's case, find my husband. Or it could be like the time when I was riding the bus from school in what I think was the second grade. It was bus 14, Diane was the bus driver. Every day, I rode the bus to my Aunt Gail's and Uncle Emzel's house. My younger brother stayed there while I was at school, and my mom was at work. Every day was pretty simple. The bus stopped at the end of what seemed to be the world's longest gravel driveway up to their house. Beside their house was my uncle's tire shop. Behind it was the greatest catfish pond. This day, however, when the bus pulled to a stop, my cousin John and I noticed a lot of cars at their house. With the cars were a lot of people, and as we walked down their endless drive, we could tell there was a lot of anxiety. Turns out, my 3-year-old brother Eric was missing. Within minutes, my mom drove in as fast as her little Capri would go. They looked under the house. They walked the surrounding fields. The rescue squad was about to start draining the pond. My second grade self had no idea how long my brother had been missing, but it was too long. I can still hear my mom say, "Where's my boy?" Then the phone rang. It was a lady who lived on a different county road, or up and over a ridge if you went through the woods. Eric was there, safe and sound. My mom grabbed me into the car and speedily off we went. Her embrace of him was tight. Our scripture for the day also deals with a missing child. This time it is Jesus. He is 12 years old. He, Mary, and Joseph go to Jerusalem for the Passover festival. This is their annual custom. Not just a tradition like ice skating, but a faith practice. They come from Nazareth with a group of family and friends for the trip. Going from Nazareth to Jerusalem would have been a 3 to 5 day journey. The festival would have lasted a week. Then they began travel for home, except on the trip back home to Nazareth, Jesus isn't with them. They go for an entire day's travel before noticing Jesus is not among the crowd of family and friends.
Every year, Jesus' parents went to Jerusalem for the festival of the Passover. When he was 12 years old, they went up to the festival according to the custom. After the festival was over, while his parents were returning home, the boy Jesus stayed behind in Jerusalem, but they were unaware of it. Thinking he was in their company, they traveled on for a day. Then they began looking for him among their relatives and friends. When they did not find him, they went back to Jerusalem to look for him. After 3 days, they found him in the temple courts, sitting among the teachers, listening to them and asking them questions. Everyone who heard him was amazed at his understanding and his answers. When his parents saw him, they were astonished. His mother said to him, "Son, why have you treated us like this? Your father and I have been anxiously searching for you." "Why were you searching for me?" he asked. "Didn't you know that I had to be in my father's house?" But they did not understand what he was saying to them. Then he went down to Nazareth with them and was obedient to them. But his mother treasured all these things in her heart, and Jesus grew in wisdom and stature, in favor with God and man.
Can you hear it? Mary to Joseph, "Have you checked in on Jesus?" Joseph back to Mary, "No, I thought he was doing that with you." "Oh, I'm sure he's fine." Typical dad response, right? In that moment, Mary does her best impression of the mother in the movie Home Alone, "Kevin!" and falls over, passing out. Let's pull over for a second. Can you imagine us in our present day traveling for an entire day, not being sure where our child is? We may love our family and friends, but do we really trust them enough not to be checking on the whereabouts of our children every 15 seconds? We would be checking the app constantly, seeing where they are. Jesus isn't lost. He stayed at the temple in Jerusalem. After 3 days of searching, Mary and Joseph find him there seated among the teachers. Jesus and the teachers are in full discussion of questions and answers. All of the leaders are amazed at Jesus' level of understanding and his own responses. Joseph and Mary aren't as amazed. They're worried, as can be expected. Mary says to her son, "Son, why have you treated us like this? Your father and I have been anxiously searching for you." Jesus responds, "Why were you searching for me? Didn't you know I had to be in my Father's house?" Jesus, to his understanding, was never missing or lost. As a young adolescent at 12 years old, he is fully confident that he was where he should be. That's his point of view, right? His parents' understanding of the situation is totally different. Their prerogative on the last 3 to 4 days of searching and wondering where in the world he was is not the same as his.
Worthy of every song we could ever sing, worthy of all the praise we could ever bring, worthy of every breath we could ever breathe, and we live for you. Jesus, the name above every other name. Jesus, the only one who could ever save. Worthy of every breath we could ever breathe, and we live for you. Oh, we live for you. Holy, there is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder. Show me who you are and fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around me. Lead me in your love, Jesus. Jesus, the name above every other name. Jesus, the only one who could ever save. And he's worthy of every breath we could ever breathe, and we live for you. Oh, we live for you. Sing holy, holy. There is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder. Show me who you are is a firm foundation. I will put my trust in you alone, and I will not be shaken. Yes, I will build my life upon your love. It is a firm foundation, and I will put my trust in you alone, and I will not be shaken. Holy, there is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder. Show me who you are and fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around me. And I will build my life upon your love. It is a firm foundation, and I will put my trust in you alone, and I will not be shaken. Yes, I will build my life upon your love. It is a firm foundation. I will put my trust in you alone, and I will not be shaken.
Not One More Alabama is a great nonprofit resource for families who've been touched by addiction. And one of the co-founders, Patty Sykstus, joins us today. Thank you for being here today.
Well, you are very welcome. Glad to be here.
Patty, how did Not One More Alabama, how did that come about?
Well, it's kind of an interesting story. My good friend Shannon and I had met just through some lived experiences. We got to know each other and started kind of just having conversations and saying, you know, we've learned so much in this process. I have a son who's in recovery. He'll be 10 years sober this March. And, you know, you just, when you're walking on that path, you just start accumulating information and resources and people that helped you along the way. And so we were just having a conversation. We're like, what a waste that we've learned all of this and we just sit and have it to ourselves. I said, we need to be sharing this. We need to go out and help the next person who's struggling. So that was kind of the birth of Not One More Alabama, was just simply to create a platform to be able to take resources out to people that need them.
And you all have done a great job with awareness. You had at Tinsel Trail, if you came to the Huntsville's Tinsel Trail, you might have seen the Not One More Alabama tree. You all had an angel tree.
We have an angel tree. This is our 5th year with the angel tree, and every year we have more and more pictures that go up on there. Some of that is because of awareness of the tree, and others is because we've been losing more and more people to overdoses.
How have you seen those numbers increase
The
since you
numbers have
started
definitely gone up. I know the most recent data we've been able to get from the CDC had right about 1,100 people pass away in the state of Alabama from April of 20 to April of 2021. And that in that same 12-month period, the nation hit over 100,000 for the first time of overdose deaths in a 12-month period, which is just incredible. When you think about 100,000 people, that's a whole stadium plus of people. You know, that's 275 people a day that are dying in our country. So, I mean, if you think about an airliner going down, a huge airliner, or 2 airliners going down, I mean, we would be outraged, you know, if every single day the news featured 2 airliners going down and taking everyone out on them. And but because it's got stigma and you know, there's still stigma attached to addiction. There's stigma attached to substance use, and so it's harder for people to come out and talk about it and just to be open. So that's one of our goals, is just to start normalizing the conversation around substance use disorders. Just start having those conversations, just like you would if you had cancer, just like you would if you had heart disease, just like any other condition that somebody might have. Let's just start having these conversations
and help
in an
each other.
open way, so we can be there to support each other.
Well, thank you, Patty. And you have a grief recovery program coming up in January. We'll put that information on the screen and how to get in touch with your organization.
Perfect.
It's interesting to look at the different perspectives within the story. It's also good to take the story from different views. Our Christian theology believes that Jesus was both fully God and fully human as he walked and lived on the earth. Traditionally, we immediately let this story lean on the fully God side of who Jesus was. I want us to read it from the other side today. Jesus was 12 years old at the time. At this age, he was still considered a child in Jewish understanding. He was fully under the care and guidance of Joseph and Mary. From this viewpoint, Jesus is staying at the temple, and his response to Mary with, "Why were you searching for me? Didn't you know I had to be in my Father's house?" takes on a much more developmental feel. Jesus knows the temple as his Father's house, not just because of his unique divine relation to God the Father, but also, maybe more so at this 12-year-old developmental age, because faith has been practiced and lived out in his home and in his faith community. Fred Craddock writes, "Home, temple, and synagogue form him," as in Jesus. We see consistency of faith practices in Jesus' family. Why should we be surprised? In both Mary and Joseph, up to this point in Jesus' story, we find them to be obedient, righteous persons. Mary in Luke 1, when the angel Gabriel comes to announce to her that she will conceive the promised Messiah, responds with faithful obedience. Joseph is described in Matthew 1 as a righteous man and is found to respond with obedience at every opportunity given to him. Then, right on clockwork, we find them adhering to having Jesus circumcised at 8 days old and presenting him to the temple for dedication. Now, we are told that they go to Jerusalem every year for the Passover. They are consistent in their faith. Practices of faith were a natural part of Jesus' family, both in the home and in their faith community. The temple is an easy place for Jesus to stay because he knows it well. Can our kids say the same? Does church feel as comfortable for our kids and students as home does? Do they feel connected, embraced, safe, and secure as they do at home or with their peers or at the ballpark? The temple is an easy place for Jesus to stay because he is known there. Joseph and Mary find Jesus sitting among the teachers, listening, asking questions, and giving answers. His parents also didn't jump off the ledge of panic when they didn't find him with them as they began the trip home. It was a full day before he was even missed. That tells me that Mary and Joseph trusted their family and friends. Let's be honest for a second here. Having a community of shared trust and belonging takes work. It's so easy to cluster and have closed groups. It's easy to keep our calendar full where we don't have time to connect and talk. The temple was an easy place for Jesus to stay because he knows it well and he is known there. Both of these facets come from Jesus' home as a foundation for him. What made Jesus' home such a strong foundation? It's Joseph and Mary. Their marriage provides a strong foundation for Jesus. Sure, in this story, both of them are anxious and probably frazzled from a 3 to 4 day search for their son, but they are together in both the anxiety and the search. Through the birth story of Jesus, they are constantly listed together. From all accounts, Joseph and Mary's marriage was strongly built on commitment to each other and God. Recently, we were driving up I-65. We got on at Ardmore heading towards Nashville. Not far into Tennessee, I saw a billboard that read, "Marriage reduces the probability of child poverty by 80%. The billboard message shows just another way healthy marriages between moms and dads have long-lasting effects on their children. As a student pastor, I see the spiritual consequences of healthy marriages. I will often note on graduate weekends how many of our students have parents still married. It's evident in the students' confidence and often in their desire for faith. Our passage ends with Jesus going home with Joseph and Mary to Nazareth and is obedient to them. It's a sweet ending to the story, and it's here where we may experience disconnection from the story. As parents, we may do everything we know possible to create the loving, God-focused home environment we want, and still, our kids may choose a path different than we have hoped for or prayed for. Either they did not come home obediently, growing in favor with God, or they didn't find the temple or church to be a place they want to be. Or our own marriage is not how I painted Joseph and Mary's to be. It's holding together by a string, or it broke a long time ago. You may be wondering why in the world my brother Eric wandered off into the woods from my aunt and uncle's house. He wanted to go to my grandmother's house. It was less than a half a mile down the road. I guess he thought it was an easy walk through the woods. He wanted to be at Grandma's house because it's Grandma's house, right? Her cornbread was good and she always had a hug for you. Jesus wanted to stay at the temple because it was a good place for him to be. He was known and welcomed among the community. Jesus was where Joseph and Mary raised him to be. We can wonder why they didn't start there in looking for him. How can we respond? What are some tangible actions we can do to better align our family to faith? 1, try church out. If you're in the greater Huntsville area, we would love to have you at First Baptist Huntsville. 2, then make the effort to allow a church community to be a part of your life. 3, if you're married, make your marriage your top priority for time and devotion. And 4, allow the grace of God to be the strength to actually make these top 3 things reality, because they are not easy.
Come thou fount of every blessing, tune my heart to sing thy grace. Streams of mercy never ceasing, call for songs of loudest praise. Teach me some melodious sonnet sung by flaming tongues above. Praise the mountain thy grace now like a fetter, bind my wandering heart to thee. Prone to wander, Lord, I feel it. Prone to leave the God I love. Here's my heart, Lord, take and seal it. Seal it for thy courts above. Prone to wander, Lord, I feel it. Prone to leave the God I love. Here's my heart, Lord, take and seal it. Seal it for thy courts above.
Tennessee Valley Church means church has left the building, so has membership. Here's what I mean. You might be feeling a need or maybe even a call from God to be part of our church family in a more tangible way. If you're not able to join us physically here at 600 Governors Drive, whether because of distance, mobility, schedule, or some other reason, you still can be a member of First Baptist Huntsville. Let me send you information on what that would mean, what you could expect from your church, and what your church would expect from you. Email me at travis@fbchsv.org. Let me know of your desire for membership, and I'll help you get started. Join hands with us as we attempt to join hands with God Himself in His mission to the world.